everybody. Welcome back to Young Adults Home Groups. Good to be back together. We are back in the book of Exodus tonight. Hope you don't mind the pace that we're going. Specifically, this section of the book of Exodus is rich. There's a lot here. Tonight, I want to back up a few verses to where we ended our time in our large group together. Exodus chapter 33, verse 7. We can read all the way down to chapter 34, verse 9 or so. That's what I have printed out in your handout. And in this section, there's a couple things going on. One is this incredible vision of God that Moses is granted, but that's set against the backdrop of the fact that the reason Moses has this vision of God is that he specifically asks for it. This is even different than the burning bush that caught Moses by surprise. This is Moses going out on a limb and asking God to show him something. And God says, okay. Or at least God answers affirmatively in the way that he is able to. And so I have some questions to get us into thinking about that. John chapter 1, verse 18 is a very interesting verse to read Exodus in light of. You can think about your own relationship with Christ, what we have in Jesus relative to what Moses had on the mountain, but also just the portrait that we get of the relationship between Moses and God. This isn't only a story about a vision that God grants. When you watch the dialogue between Moses and God, because that's literally what we have here, it is very interesting to see the kind of relationship that I think we should see that God himself has cultivated and invited Moses into. This is not something that Moses created. This was a relationship that God wanted to have with a man, and that God did in fact get with Moses. And so I just encourage you to look at the kind of back and forth statements, questions, answers that we have here. And then finally, I give you some Psalms that speak to different aspects of this story as a way maybe to get into prayer together, to use these Psalms to shape some prayers and some requests to God. Prayers and requests to God that might flow directly from this story. You know, like we like to say in Young Adults and practice from time to time, the scriptures themselves can be seedbeds for our prayers. They can point our prayers in directions we might not have normally thought of. They can shape prayers we already had in ways that become more scriptural and powerful, so we can pray according to God's will. And so this is one of those stories, I think, that makes us think about our own personal connection to God as we watch Moses' connection to God. And there's things that the gospel says about that. And the Psalms, I think, give voice to the kinds of things you might think about when you think about asking to see God's glory and asking for, that kind of a relationship with God. So that is where we're going tonight. Hope your discussions are blessed and deep and edifying and spiritual. God bless you guys. See you next week. Thank you.